You're on a job site. You've got your hands full and your phone buzzes. It's someone from your team with a question that, if you're being honest, they should already know the answer to by now. But you answer it and then you move on. But 20 minutes later, it buzzes again. Not again! Different person, but very similar question. You answer that one too. And by the end of the day, you spent more time answering questions than you have actually running your business. And you're starting to wonder if hiring people was supposed to make things easier. Because right now, it just feels like you have more people to manage and the same amount of work to do yourself. If your team can't seem to make a move without checking with you first, well, this video is for you. Welcome back to Built for Two, CEO Edition. Well, hey there. I'm Kimberly Ferguson, CEO and founder of The Emerald Edge, and we help contractor couples build profitable businesses with teams strong enough to hold things down so your marriage doesn't have to hold everything else up.
Can you kill us together?
We've been on quite a journey together over the last few videos. We've talked about standards and expectations, delegation between spouses, monthly money meetings, and setting client boundaries. So if you're just joining us, go back and start from the beginning. Each one of these videos builds on the last.
You have missed a lot.
Because today we're talking about your team, and specifically why so many contractor couples end up with a team that functions more like a group of people waiting for instructions than actual self-sufficient crew.
You can't trust your crew. I can't trust you.
So here's what I want you to understand before we dive in. A team that can't function without you isn't a loyalty problem. It's not a competence problem. And it definitely is not a reason to swear off hiring forever and just do everything yourself.
Are you sure about that?
It's a leadership infrastructure problem. And leadership infrastructure, just like the frameworks we've been building throughout this series, is completely fixable.
I can fix that.
So by the end of this video, you'll have a clear framework for building a team that knows what to do, knows how to do it, and doesn't need you standing over their shoulder every step of the way. Let's get into it.
If you can do this, I can do this.
Let me describe a pattern I see constantly with contractor couples who come to work with us. They hire someone, maybe a project manager, an office coordinator, a crew lead. The hire goes well initially. The person seems really capable. There's relief on the horizon. And then slowly, almost imperceptibly, the new team member starts checking in a lot.
Like a lot?
Every decision gets run by one of the owners. Every slightly unusual situation becomes a phone call, and every gray area gets escalated. Not because the team member can't think for themselves, but because nobody ever told them that they were allowed to. And so the owners who hired this person specifically to take things off their plate end up with a very full plate plus a new responsibility, managing the person who's supposed to help manage things. Sound familiar?
Unfortunately, yes.
Well, here's why this happens. Most small contracting businesses hire people before they build the infrastructure those people need to succeed. There's no documented processes for how to get things done. There's no clarity around who can make what decisions. There's no defined standard for what good looks like. So the new team member does the only logical thing. They ask the person who knows, which is you, every time.
Every single time.
The dependency isn't a character flaw, it's a systems gap. And the way you close it is what I call the leader framework.
Good, at least you have a plan.
So leader stands for L, lay out the expectations before day one. E, establish processes for every repeatable task. A, assign decision-making authority clearly. D, define what done looks like. And E, evaluate regularly and adjust. And then R, remove yourself intentionally.
Be the leader that I know you can be.
6 steps, and every single one of them matters. So let's walk through them.
One step at a time.
So let's start with lay out the expectations before day one. Most team members don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because nobody told them clearly what success looked like before they started. Before your next hire, or even with your current team, get crystal clear on 3 things. What does this role actually own? Not a vague job title, specific outcomes, specific responsibilities, specific areas where this person has authority to act without checking in first. What does excellent performance look like in this role? Not, they do a good job. Measurable, observable, specific. If you can't describe it, you can't evaluate it. And if you can't evaluate it, well, you can't hold anyone accountable for it. And what are the non-negotiables? The standards. And yes, we're back to standards again because they show up everywhere. That apply to everyone on your team, regardless of role. So when a team member walks in on day one, knowing exactly what they own, what excellent looks like, and what non-negotiables are, they have a foundation to work from.
Build the foundation that this relationship needs.
Without that foundation, they're just guessing. And guessing leads to checking in. And checking in leads to you answering your phone on a job site at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday for the 4th time that day.
And please don't call this number again, okay?
Next, we have established processes for every repeatable task. So we talked about this in the delegation video, but it bears repeating here because, well, it's that important. If your team is doing something more than once, there should be a process for it. How to handle a client inquiry, how to document a change order, how to order materials, how to communicate a project delay, how to close out a completed job. Every repeatable task that currently lives in someone's head, probably yours or your spouse's, maybe a long tenured team member's, is a liability. Because the moment that person is unavailable, the task either doesn't get done or gets done wrong. Processes don't have to be complicated. A checklist, a short video walkthrough, a simple step-by-step document. The format matters far less than the fact that it exists, it's accessible, and everyone knows where to find it.
It's all here in black and white.
When your team has documented processes to reference, the number of questions that require your personal involvement drops dramatically. Not because your team suddenly got smarter. They were already smart. But because now they have the information they need to act without you.
I think you'll find everything you need right here in these binders.
Next, we have assign decision-making authority clearly. This is the one that changes everything. And it's the one that a lot of contractor couples skip entirely. Not every decision needs to go to the top. In fact, most decisions shouldn't. But if you've never explicitly told your team which decisions they're empowered to make on their own, they're going to assume the answer is none. Because that's the safe assumption when nobody has told you otherwise. Here's a simple way to think about it. Decisions in your business fall into roughly 3 categories. We have decisions your team should make independently without checking in at all. These are day-to-day operational calls that fall within established standards and processes. If the process covers it, they own it. Decisions your team should make with a heads up to you. They act, but they let you know. Slightly outside of the norm, but not significant enough to require approval. You want to be informed, but you don't need to be involved. And then decisions that require your sign-off before action is taken. Significant financial commitment, major client-facing decisions, anything that sets a new precedent for how the business operates. Map it out, write it down, share it with your team. Because when people know exactly where their authority begins and ends, they stop asking for permission on things that are already theirs to decide. And you stop being the approval bottleneck for decisions that never needed your approval in the first place.
I don't need your approval.
Next, we want to define what done looks like. Vague assignments produce vague results, and vague results produce frustration on every side. When you assign something to a team member, done needs to mean the same thing for both of you. Because I promise you right now, it doesn't always. You think done means the client has been followed up with, the documentation is filed, and the job is closed out in the system. Your team member thinks done means they made the call. Those are not the same thing. And the gap between those two definitions is where a lot of unnecessary tension lives.
I need to get this done. I need to finish.
For every significant task or project, define done before the work begins. What does completed output look like? What needs to be in place for this to be considered finished? Where does the documentation live when it's all wrapped up? This isn't micromanaging, this is clarity. And there is a very important difference between the two. Micromanaging is hovering over someone while they work. Clarity is making sure you both agree on the destination before they start driving.
Well, everyone's doing exactly what they need to.
And then we want to evaluate regularly and adjust. Building a self-sufficient team is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing process. And that means you need regular touch points to assess how things are working, not to check up on people, but to identify where the system needs adjusting. A simple weekly team check-in, even 15 minutes, can surface blockers before they become crisis, catch miscommunications before they become mistakes, and give your team a predictable moment to raise questions rather than texting you throughout the day every time something comes up. Think about that for a second. If your team knows they have a standing 15-minute window every week to bring questions and updates, how many of those midday texts just became agenda items instead?
Just crazy enough to work.
Most of them, possibly all of them. Regular evaluation also means looking at your processes and asking honestly, is this working? Is the team following it? If not, it's because the process is unclear or because it's genuinely not the right process for how your business actually operates. Systems need maintenance, teams need feedback, and the couples who build the strongest teams are the ones who treat this as an ongoing investment rather than a one-time setup.
We'll keep doing this until we get it right. Let's go.
Lastly, we want to remove yourself intentionally. This is the hardest one, and is the one that determines whether everything else actually works.
That's a lot of pressure.
At some point, after you've laid out the expectations, established the processes, assigned the authority, defined done, and set up regular evaluation, you have to actually step back. Intentionally, deliberately, even when it's uncomfortable. Because here's what happens if you don't. Your team will rise to the level of autonomy you give them.
Rise to the occasion.
If you give them full authority on paper, but then insert yourself into every decision anyway, they will stop making decisions. Why would they? Every time they try, you show up with a different answer. Removing yourself intentionally means trusting the system you built. It means letting your team make decisions, including ones you might have made differently. And not swooping in to correct them unless a genuine standard has been violated. It means being available for the things that actually need you and being genuinely unavailable for the things that don't.
That's easier said than done.
And for contractor couples specifically, this is a conversation you need to have with each other. Because if one of you is stepping back and the other is still in the middle of everything, the team will route around the one who stepped back and go straight to the one who didn't, which defeats the entire purpose and creates a new dynamic that nobody planned for. You have to remove yourselves together, consistently, as a united front.
We do this together.
Now, I want to take a moment here to talk about what's on the other side of this, because building a self-sufficient team is hard work and helps to remember why you're doing it. So when your team doesn't need you in the middle of every decision, you get your time back, not just a little of it, significant amounts of it. Time to work on the business instead of being constantly in it. Time to think strategically about where you're going instead of just managing where you are. Time to actually be present with your spouse, not as a business partner running through the day's issues, but as a person who has something left to give at the end of the day.
It's like a dream come true.
So this week, I want you to do one thing. Pick one role on your team, or if it's just you and your spouse right now, pick one area in your business and walk it through the leader framework. Are the expectations laid out clearly? Is there a documented process? Is decision-making authority defined? Does everyone know what done looks like? Is there a regular evaluation touch point? Are you actually removing yourself from things that don't need you? Identify the biggest gap and close it. Just one this week.
Yeah, I can do that.
And if you go through that exercise and realize the gaps are bigger than 1 week can fix, or if you're not even sure where to start because the whole thing feels like it needs to be rebuilt from the ground up, well, that's exactly what we're here for. We help contractor couples build the leadership infrastructure that turns a team of people into a team that actually functions.
You have no idea how much I need.
So if you're ready to stop being the answer to every question and start building a business that runs without you in the middle of everything, we'll book a free strategy call with our team. Links below. We'd love to help you.
Click, 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 click.
A team that needs you for everything isn't a functional team. It's a group of people waiting for instructions. And a business that depends entirely on your presence isn't a business. It's a job with extra steps and a lot more responsibility. Lay out the expectations before day one. Establish processes for every repeatable task. Assign decision-making authority clearly. Define what done looks like. Evaluate regularly and adjust, and then remove yourself intentionally. That's how you build a team that doesn't need you to babysit it, and a business that can grow beyond what any two people can manage on their own.
That's exactly what I want to do.
Now, we've covered a lot of ground in this series. Standards and expectations, delegation, money meetings, client boundaries, and now team infrastructure. And it all leads to one final question. What does it actually look like when all this comes together? In our next and final video of this series, we're talking about the contractor couple's roadmap to a business that runs without both of you. The full picture, the end goal, what you're actually building toward, and how to know when you've gotten there. So make sure you're subscribed because that one is going to be worth the wait. So I'll see you there. This has been Built for Two, where systems keep your business steady, strategy helps it grow, and building it with your soulmate makes the whole adventure worth it. I hope that you have a fantastic day, and I will see you in my next video.